Hello and welcome in to the Sorare Spotlight. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdino on Sorare. Joined today by everybody's favorite Sorare product design lead, Tulga, to walk us through. I'm going to walk him through a lot of questions about what has already been added to the site, but also he's going to give us a little preview of what's coming. Tulga, good to see you.
What's up? What's up, Laird? Good to see you too. How are you doing?
I'm great. The move to Sorare 26. And kind of like all of the announcements that have come from it have been like it's clear that there's like a lot going on. And I think people kind of overlook the fact that it included like so many new design changes. And I think, people will randomly see like, oh, this is new and this is new. And I wanted to kind of like take today's show to give you your props for all the work that you and everyone there has been doing, because it's not easy to even just design all of this stuff as opposed to just like design, implement, build, implement, and all of that. And so it was obviously like a huge undertaking. And I think everyone's just like, oh yeah, Sorare 26, here's what's new. But like, there's a lot that you guys have done over the last few months.
Yeah. I think the team did a great job with the execution of the new season. This doesn't happen overnight. It's like goes back six months prior. We kind of like observe what's happening in the current season, which would be the 25 season. We'd like see what's working, what's not working, what we need to improve. And then from there, we had like a kind of a vision for the new season and how, like, what's the perfect state and how can we get there in the different milestones. So at the start of the season, in the mid season, and then finally, we should have a clear vision of like what we kind of want to do by like the February transfer market, like what that product should be. And so like for 3 to 6 months, we were just like having constant debates. Everyone had a certain point of view. We wanted, to create this kind of moment and like what's like too complex, what's too crazy, what's like a really rewarding experience. And so you had people from the product team, the design team, the creative team, the tech team, and even the marketing finance. They all came in and gave their inputs, and we had like really nice debates and discussions for like 3 months really. And then we had like the next 3 months were like go time and crunch time and just kind of push,
You answered kind of like my next question, because obviously it's not like you guys from the design perspective are just like, here's the design, go do it. Like there's obviously feedback from, as you just mentioned, what felt like 10 different groups, but everybody kind of has a role in it. And so it's not as simple as like, I have an idea, this is what it looks like, let's go do it. And so I think users users sometimes kind of forget that there are like stakeholders in every different spot that like, if you decide, even just in terms of gameplay, if you decide to give rewards here, how does that affect, other competitions and whatnot? And so it seems like a very big team effort that so far looks like it's been going great.
Yeah, 100%. I like to I was actually, I don't know, do you watch F1, like the Drive to Survive, anything like that?
I can't believe you brought that up. So I had literally caught up to the end of Drive to Survive like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, I'm going to start. I'd never watched it live. And I was like, I'm going to start watching it live. So I literally just started watching it live.
Yeah. So I was thinking about it and I was like, wow, this is so close to like what we're doing at Sorare, in that, like if you think about like a team, let's say Mercedes, right? That's like Sorare as a company, right? And the team principal, I guess Toto would be like Nico, right? And then we have 2 cars, and we have drivers, and the drivers are the managers. We have like the veteran manager driver. We have like the new user driver, and everyone in the whole company is focusing on the car, which is the product, and like how can we like build the best car for both drivers. And the thing is, like, one driver is like the new user, like there's like let's say call him the rookie coming in. He doesn't really know what's happening or how to express himself, what's the issues, but the veteran can explain all the things that are kind of going on, and we're kind of getting that feedback. And in the middle of the 25 season, we're like, okay, we got to build for the 26 car. What is that vision for that car? What is like the constraints we have in terms of time, money, and the rules that are set in place. And then we're just tinkering away. Everyone in the company is like a maker. We think in our own different kind of groups. So I'm in the design side, the tech is in the engineering constraints, products on product. But we're all thinking like the same way. How do we make a great product? And the issue is like, we know that we can make a great like car, but we can't make that like product on day one, like, because we only have 3 months, right? So what are the things that we need to do to make a car on the grid for the first Grand Prix? Right. And so that's kind of what we see here with Sorare 26 is like, we looked at the essential elements of like, what can we do for like, we saw sealing as the main thing. We saw like the hot streaks for all new season competitions, the overall competition gameplay and like arena and like, can we build that stuff for the season? And, the drivers can drive, we might not hit podium, right? We're going to have some points on the grid, hopefully. But then eventually you guys give us like the drivers will give us the feedback. You tinker with the car product over each game week, each Grand Prix, and the idea is by the middle of the season we hit the ground running like McLaren and just go like a rocket. We build a rocket ship, but it's about building with the fans, like building with like the driver, understanding all the pain points that are coming in, where the frustrations, where is like the problems of like in turning, where the performances aren't great, and so you can kind of see that we really heavily focused on just getting the car to the grid, focusing on the start of the season in terms of like the new season landing page, buying all the cards, all the different kind of gamification elements, also even like the art direction, right? And so like all those moments culminate to create this whole like new season welcome experience. But now you're seeing, okay, it drives great on the straights, but when you go to a turn, like the live experience, for example, there's some bumpy roads, and so we're getting that feedback from the managers, and now it's like up to us to like every week during the midweeks, like tinker away and push or release like a quick little updates to like the car or the product so that the next race it's a smoother experience. And we're going to kind of continue to do that like iteration cycles every week to like hopefully come out with a pretty fast product that everyone enjoys.
So F1 on Sorare is like next, or
I wish, right? But not yet.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in, but this comment just popped up, and since we're on the topic, but Mike Baston here says, I think that's the best analogy I've ever heard for describing Sorare, and I think you absolutely nailed it. I'm going to go all the way back just to welcome at least our first three, speaking of podiums, because I can't be on a stream and not do that. So Dobbsy, Anyon, and Sean Kennedy, congratulations to you three. But, and of course, I feel like you're getting to the point now where there are some expectations when you come on stream, and you've gotten an 11 out of 10 on the jersey here. And Ryan said, best kit game. It's unreal. And I can't not bring that up. So appreciate you just bringing out the bangers every time you're on the stream.
Yeah, I'm like sweating. Like, how many more do I got? So that, yeah.
So when you made it sound like kind of the preparation for Sorare 26 obviously starts months ahead of time. Let's call it January, or maybe it's probably earlier than that. How much of kind of what you guys started talking about in January has been already, like how much have we already seen of the work that you guys have done over the last few months?
I would say like a good chunk, like a third to a third to like a half, like something like that, like 40%, so job's not done. It's like really just like, what are the building blocks, the major, like if we're like shaping clay, like I was speaking a lot of metaphors, I'm sorry, but like
no, that's the easiest way for everyone to figure it out.
Yeah, we kind of just like shape the body, and like now we're kind of focusing on the details and focusing on all the little moments to make like the actual interactions and the experience really, really delightful. And then we'll dip it in bronze and it'll be a nice statue. But for now, we're just in the building phase, and it was so hard, like even to like when you start with a big block of clay in January, it's everyone has a point of view, everyone has like an issue or understanding of what Sorare 26 should be. Should we do this? Should we do that? And so in the first number one thing is alignment with the team, having a vision and having conviction in that vision. So any new feature we come out with, is it leading up to that vision? Is it like going away from it? Like you can see everyone has like a point of view, or even in Discord, like there's so many ideas, right? But like that's just one idea, but there are hundreds of solutions, right? Hundreds of constant solutions for one problem. And so are we picking the right thing? Does it ladder up to the overall vision? And so we got to be a little rigid there and like defining the vision in the very beginning that then determines like what clay material we use. or like what's the actual figure we're building. And then once we kind of like build that rough draft, which you've seen of like the kind of form, now it's time to like double down and like, job's not done. We got to really just like kind of every week not be satisfied and make sure we're improving the experience for you guys.
I think what's been really great kind of lately, obviously the pitch notes are kind of our summary when they come out of like, here's what we've added, but it does feel like there's usually more. Like it's always like a long list, and I'm like, man, I feel like there has been more stuff that's been coming out, and the way that you guys, basically things come out, and I feel like there has been, at least for a while, like this community reaction of like, oh, that's it, like that's the finished product. And now that you guys, this was previously, but now it feels like you guys are on a more regular schedule of releasing things, and not to put the pressure back on you guys, but now it's like the users are sort of know that new things are coming. But the reason why that's such a positive is because when there is a new feature that comes out, we're like, man, that's such a great improvement, and we know that more is going to come. Mm-hmm. And you guys are delivering on that really well. Obviously the things that you have to deliver mid-season, late season are very different than preseason going into the opening of Sorare 26. We're here today. It's August 4th. League One finally launched on the auctions, so everybody can start buying those cards. Those were exactly the competition I was going to focus on, and so I haven't touched the auctions yet. But it was like somebody had given me some credit for sticking to my word, but now I feel like I really have to by getting in there. But how does it feel, at least now that like the intro part of Sorare 26 has been released? Do you guys tend to focus on building whatever is next in line, or is it collecting feedback from the users of their first experiences with Sorare 26? The one example I see was kind of the announcement today where the wheel was supposed to be just for the Prem, and everyone, I mean, I can't remember the last time Sorare came out with something that everybody seemed to just have a blast with. Like there are obviously things that are like, oh yeah, that's cool. But like everyone I talked to was just like, I love the wheel. The people are doing more to get more spins. Mm-hmm. And that's now been extended, excuse me. So I guess the question is, when you guys obviously launched Sorare 26, there was a lot of work that went into the launch part of it. Now that part is almost done, is it collect feedback and iterate from there? Is it just keep going with the plan that you guys had for kind of the mid-season and beyond?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to go back a little bit before that about the releasing the pitch notes, and everything like that, is I think the expectation is good for the managers to want us to continue to improve. And I think it's like important for you guys to keep on pushing, and you guys do a great job in these kind of content channels as well as Discord. And I think that the difference between a couple of years ago and this year is that the team is super motivated, very passionate. We had, I think, before with Rivals, we had different directions, and we're focusing on onboarding new users, onboarding on a different kind of product and a different path. And I think what the good thing about this year now is because you can see from the launch is focus, right? And mm-hmm. The real focus now is there's no Sorare data. There's only Sorare Pro as well. There's no Rivals, and Sorare data is gone. The focus should be a part mostly of the existing managers that are playing the Pro product, as well as onboarding new users to that Pro product. And so because of that focus, all the teams, like the squads, can align on that vision and kind of like sprint. And so you can see like we're trying to do that. And so for now, you can see like we launched the Sorare 26 kind of game mode just to start, but we're kind of splitting the work. Like I would say 80-20, 60-40, where like 60% is like on the next like iterations of what we're building. Like the V2s of like the arena, for example. Like what is that build? We still have like the championship we're going to come out with. So we need to build and create the value, but at the same time, the 20% is like we're just to kind of sit. I'm like watching like streamers all day, like after work, just seeing how they consume the content, how they're talking to their to the other managers on the stream, how new users are coming in asking questions, like recording all that, making sure we're kind of like improving the product with any frustrations they're having like live time. And so I'm like watching people play the game all day. And then the other part of it is like we got to take a step back, because like if you look at like, I think it's really apparent with like existing managers who came back after not playing maybe for a year, and they're like, whoa, this is so new, this is like crazy, and it is. And I think two things, like we just kind of like threw the kitchen sink of this, of like what we wanted as like the vision for Sorare 26, but now we have to take a step back and like understand that this is not what people's like, they don't live this like every day. Like this is not like they're living, breathing like Sorare. They have other things in their lives, like, you know, you have work, you have other things you do, games you play, like tabs of exploring other types of entertainment. So like this is just one, and we have to like kind of guide and handhold those people to come in and like show them the way. And so what we're doing right now is like we're mapping out the whole user journey, new user journey, existing user journey, people who haven't played in a while and are coming back, and like where are the pain points that they're coming with. Do we hide some certain information? Do we surface things at the right time to show them like what's new, for example? And you kind of saw that with like the Sorare 26 market page, where once we landed the Premier League, there's a little pop-up of like, oh, these are the new leagues that are opening, and this is what you can do now. And we need to do a better job of like showing that kind of like those moments to like for hot streaks, for arena, for you know, I'm blanking now on another thing that we're doing, but like those are the kind of things that we're trying to show is like one, is it valuable to this user? For example, for new users, is the classic mode really valuable, or should we, you know, hide it? For example, like arena, like it's maybe a little too advanced, right? And so
Yeah.
what should we show is like we should show the new season, focus on the single leagues, and then introduce hot streaks. And show what that is and kind of teach that moment. So what we're doing now is like we're circling back the other 20-25% is like kind of mapping out the journey, and it's like where do we need to show like dialogues, where should we like handhold users and that thing. So we have like, I would say 20% like that kind of improvement, 20% me just like kind of like watching people play every day and making like those kind of improvements, listen to feedback, and then the other 60% is like the V2s of the vision for Sorare 26.
I'm glad you brought up the kind of the group of users who are returning to Sorare after some sort of break, because there were, I've talked to a number of them who, you know, they didn't do much in preparation of, I'm just going to keep calling it Sorare 25, but they didn't really do much in terms of adjusting to Sorare 25, played it for a little bit, and just decided they didn't really like it and stopped playing. And whether they sold their cards or not, I don't know. But they saw kind of the vision of Sorare 26 or the announcement of it, and they're super intrigued by it. And they're like, I think this is a game that I want to play. And then they come back, and particularly for those who kind of like kept all of their cards, they're like, all right, well, what do I do with my classic cards? And it's like, if you are a new user and you look at the in-season competitions and it looks like a very easy path, there's like you know, you can see the progression throughout the game. But if you have a lot of cards already and you're like, all right, here's where you can play classic, and like even the contests or the competitions that they're used to seeing aren't, you know, some of them aren't there anymore. And it does feel like, I think you use the phrase like through the kitchen sink at it. And I think part of the, I guess almost like my first own piece of feedback is a way for those users. And obviously you can't dedicate all of your time to users who used to play and are coming back, but I think they are kind of a valuable piece of the community, and they just, I think the feeling is just they're being a little overwhelmed. And
100%.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I'm curious, you guys obviously recognize that. What are some of the kind of, I was about to call them tricks, but let's just use that. Like, what are some of the tricks that you guys feel like you can do to say, like, this is still kind of the classic competitions that you know of. We just call them something different at this point.
Yeah, it's different. It's like we have two types of users. Ones who played the old product and then kind of dropped out before 25, and the ones who came in 25 and expected to see like maybe clone competitions and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think, I guess it goes back to like the what I was saying with the F1. Like if you take away the new user and just do like the existing user and a returning user, we're building the same car, right? Like it's the same car you have to build. And so you're coming in, and the existing user on their steering wheel is like a rocket ship. There's all these bells and whistles, and they're like, what do I do? Whereas like everyone who like tunes in, reads the blog, they know exactly what they need to do, what they need to press. And so it's about like kind of curating what that steering wheel is for them through this kind of journey mapping exercise. You know, interviewing them, seeing where their issues are, what they're confused with, hiding some things, and also just kind of as I said before, like hand-holding them in a way and designing the experience in a way where we simplify. Like the goal is to simplify the product and then let users opt into complexity. So, for example, like sealing, right? It's like, yeah, you just press a button to seal a card, and it's pretty simple for those kind of users. But users are opting in to like looking into the data of like which cards are more higher ceiling points. Where does it get to the higher thing? So what we're trying to do is build a lot of simple kind of interactions, and then like have the users kind of come in and opt into turning the wheel up to like max, and kind of like, like you see some people going up to 100% or doing kind of funny things like buying random obscure players with high ceiling points that no one saw, and then kind of sealing them right away. So like some people, that's a fun game, and that's like a different way to like play the game. And I'm not only talking about sealing, but for everything. And
Sure.
so it's like we're looking at every single moment, experience, and interaction feature, saying how can we simplify this down to like the root element, and then for those who want to experience it or elevate that, dial it up. And I think Arena is our first kind of tackle for that.
Yeah.
And then
So
in terms of,
no, please.
in terms of like the classic competitions, I would say I think it's actually simple, like more simplified to have regional competitions for the classic mode. As I said before, like for the single league, keeping it in season, you can see I saw a lot of new users, and also how affiliates are talking about playing the game now is just focus on that, that league that you really care about, buy 4 cards, or and then classic and play that. And then if you want to like play this kind of more hardcore older mode of like buying tons of like all seasons different cards, kind of like crafting your own cool unique set of collectible cards that you have that kind of, I would say, expresses yourself, like what kind of cards you play, what seasons you collect, what artwork you like. You can throw those lineups in this kind of regional competition. It's a bit more hardcore, but it's there. And then so we have a pure differentiation of the two products now, which speak in a very clear and helpful way for new users, and hopefully for existing users or users coming back, they can kind of see that as like the happy path of a frictionless experience. And then once they play that again, they can then move on to like collecting like their cards, going to the next season, and kind of crafting fun little crazy lineups to play in this kind of all-star mode or Arena.
I think one of the things that I've kind of discussed with a number of people is because every time there's any sort of announcement in terms of classic competitions, and the more changes that get implemented, whether they are specific to like answering or addressing like a specific problem or moving competitions and whatnot, but it feels like a lot of the feedback from older users like this is becoming too complicated for potential new users. And this is one of those things that I like vehemently disagree with, because if you are a new user coming in and seeing the in-season setup, it's very simple. And the move to single league competitions, or as many as that you guys can get license-wise, I think is the clearest indication of that. Because for a long time, every time there was a full league license added, it's like, hey, if we have the entire Jupiler League. If you want to play with just Jupiler League cards, like you can do that. But then you go into a competition and, 1 week you're getting blasted by Eredivisie cards and your Turkish Superliga cards and Danish Superliga cards. And you don't get that experience of like, well, I know I'm picking the best players from the league that I know the best, but it's just not good enough in these competitions. Just for example, I'm not putting down the Jupiler League at all. But like now, if that is what you want to do, and you say like, wait, I can prove that I know this league better than everybody else. Now you're competing against everyone on a much more level playing field. And so it makes it an easier path of, yeah, I want to play that. Or if I just want to play the Premier League and I don't want to have to learn about La Liga and the Bundesliga, there is a clear path for that. And then, as you said, once, if you join for Sorare 26, we get to Sorare 27. By then you're way more comfortable with the game, and you can go into these classic competitions, and you just said like you can just turn it up, and you can it opens up a whole bunch of other competitions that, I mean, theoretically are available to you with your in-season cards, but that's not the focus. And so I think I feel like we've used the word progression in Sorare for years about just like moving up scarcities, but it does feel like there is a progression of like even just moving from in-season to classic and then starting again in season every year. And it just feels like the game loop is more precise than it's ever been. And, whether the users, prefer classic competitions to in season or vice versa, it's the path is clearer than it's ever been.
100%. And that's how I went back to about focus and like what, we had a clear vision for what this product is now, and have that conviction and the focus to do it and target it directly, as you said. And that's kind of like the narrative we want to do. And the progression has changed from, being an in-season game. Like we can talk to these different markets in very, like specific ways, like to just like Netherlands or just to Belgium, in a certain way, and in advertising and marketing, and speak to that kind of product story of what the value is that we're giving these users. And then from there they can play and then learn and fall in love with the game. And after like, get more advanced, they can play into the arena, play classic. And yeah, I also liked your arena versus all-star debate. I also debate that myself. What's the best entry? So it's good. It's like good to have these questions. I think the game is like, what we want to do is like in game design, right? It's like we want to give the user interesting like choices every day. And like, what is the choice you have to make? And interesting choice for this is like, do you, as currency management, like how do you manage your resources? And like, do you play in the arena or do you play in all-star? And so those are fun little game design things in the classic mode that I think don't get talked about often. And that's like, I think enhances the whole overall experience. And going into just like game design and whatever, like, I want to shout out like the creative team. I think they killed it in terms of like the new art direction. Basically like part of the things of like talking about product, it's not only product, right? It's like also like talking about like the idea of what is Sorare, for this next year, and like what do we want to do. And I talked about before with you, like we want to make this more of a game. We're competing against other entertainment products, and we should go into something and feel like it's a game, feel like it's really like a world you're going into and getting lost in and having fun, like scouting, playing, whatever. And so the creative team went back and to the drawing board and like crafted a whole new art direction that's kind of like sport techy. You can see it's like a little darker, more vibrant colors. They're like kind of chip. You see like the early access card, like the chip design SIM card. So like we've kind of like tweaked it up on that notch as well, and kind of like made like ideas like gamified the experience completely. And so you saw like even with like the Sorare wheel, the new crafting experience, like I think the first version what you saw was like kind of fun gamification of just like the progress bar, and now we like dial it up even more, and like we're trying to find every single moment where the managers interacting with us in a fun way. We're questioning how can we gamify this, how can we make it like a fun experience, and hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I think it seems like people are really enjoying it. I just want to touch on this, Cameron. Yes, the questions will be read. I apologize. I get very focused when Tulga is here on asking him as many questions of my own as possible. So I will bring in. I'm also not sure how much Tulga can say on certain things, but that's maybe we'll just
Sorare Spotlight, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. So I'm glad you brought up the All-Star Arena thing, because I've done some content on it, but I've also spent just like a lot of time thinking about it myself, just as I'm doing lineups and whatnot. And before I get in, let me get this question because I'll inevitably forget it. But is there any chance that we see single league arenas in the future?
I will say yes. That's like, as I said before, like this is like 60% of the work we're doing is like, how can we improve the arena? And one of the big number one things is like league specific arena. Play, as you said, in the in season, like if I'm playing with JPL players, I want to only play against JPL kind of players. So that's something we're looking into and improving to kind of replicate that experience in the arena.
Perfect. So speaking of arena, because again, I don't think there's like a right answer in terms of like whether it's better to play All-Star Arena. I think it totally depends on everyone. But kind of one of the things you said, that by game design, you want people to be put in situations where they have to make a decision. And I think one of the kind of feedback points about Sorare 25 was like we had lots of competitions, but ultimately it was like, all right, I play my Prem cards in Premier League, and I play, it was just like all of your cards each week were very competition specific. And while in season, obviously, like your Prem cards still play against Premier League, but the classic competitions I felt like were where you guys could have a little more leeway to do obviously whatever you want. And I think what users tend to want, whether they admit it or not, but they want to be able to make decisions that showcase their skill in the game. and I knew to put this player in this lineup, or I knew to play these guys in this competition. And while we can talk about, the complexity of the classic competitions now, there are more opportunities to showcase your skill in the game by what you prioritize each game week, whether it's All-Star or Champ Europe when it launches again, or whatever it is. And I think that was kind of the biggest change for me in terms of Sorare 26 with classic cards, that now each week it's like, where do I want to play my best cards? And even my best classics, I can play one in each in-season competition, which I think there was some thought in the community whether we would still have that opportunity. But so much about playing Sorare and playing it well is making decisions that you think are either the best optimal decisions, or the risk reward battle that we all have with our own lineups. And it feels like with the classic competitions in Sorare 26, we've gotten to the point now where it's like, my decisions matter, and you're looking forward to making them every game week.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I think I said in the AMA last time too, is like Sorare 25, I think at the end of the season, we saw that users were beginning to feel like this was a chore, kind of like setting up lineups, just going through the motion every game week and like expecting a reward. And then, sorry, I'm trying to think. Sorry, I just kind of froze for a second on the screen. Do you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's a little.
Okay.
You sound clear, but the video is a little choppy there.
Oh, sorry, it's my parents' Wi-Fi. Okay, so, and so we took a look at that, and I think that even with the in-season model this year, you have the decision of, do I play 4 like mediocre lineups to like try to get a best shot at a hot streak, or do I play my best lineup in one? At the same time, am I competing just for the hot streak, like PvE with like against beat the game mode, or do I want to compete against everyone on the leaderboard? And so like, I think that the previous model was that you just looked at number of entrants, looked at prize pool top, and that's kind of your decision making. Whereas here it's like, okay, do I play my best classic in the arena? Do I play my best classic in the hot streak? Which team do I play it for? Or do I put all of them in All-Star or Champion? And so I think, and then also we have lineup bonuses, right? And so like, you're kind of like thinking of, do I like pair? I can put my guy here, but then I break that multi team or the cap 260 kind of bonus. And so you're seeing it's get a bit more dynamic in the experience. And so I think ultimately what we want to do first was improve like the actual usability of like the lineup building experience. As you can see, like we're trying to really do that. And when we got to a good spot of like the ease of use, and we're still improving it to this day, but like it allowed us to then get a little bit more playful. Like, how can we like create these kind of interesting decision makings for the user without punishing users who are collecting cards, having like stacking like lineups. We're just rewarding users who want to be more creative, take a harder challenge with like multi like collections and like building like underdog lineups.
We had a question here. Will there be a possibility to sort our cards in our gallery the way that we want? And then what about other cosmetics like skins for the vault? For the vault seal, collectibility needs presentability, which I've heard somebody kind of use that phrase recently of, we have the ability to seal our cards, but there's no, other than kind of like your Hall of Fame on your manager page, there's no way to museumify my collection.
100%. I will say for now, I don't think so, just because like as I said before, with like if you look at the F1 example, if we're like driving 20th place every race, like we're not going to focus on the brand stickers or like things. We got to focus on the car and the product, right? And like one thing is business wise, we got to find like product market fit. Like how do we attract more users? How do we grow? And then second is like with the users who are playing, how can we make it the best experience possible, whether it's scouting or lineup building? And we need to solve those two issues first before we can get into like more of the cosmetic things, because it's like opportunity cost, right? It's like it costs so much money to like go into a certain project, and we need to make sure that we're, the ROI of investing in like dev resources, design resources, it gives like enough value to the product that hits like the main like success metrics of growth and engagement. But what I will say is we're getting closer to that kind of like product market fit that we're trying to hopefully get to, and then we're gonna like all day like the creative team and I talk about like making your gallery sick, skins. Like it's like a thing that we're pushing for all the time. But like as a business owner, you got to think like we got to first like make money to eat eat well or whatever. Like I don't know the term, but like so I will say though with the common game, we're focusing more on collectibility. I think you've seen with like the collections missions, we're trying to give like a new kind of value to like the new users who are joining if they're playing the common game. It's like, yes, part of it's fantasy, but a lot of people are now, and new users are thinking this game is collecting, which is sick. You have the packs and stuff like that. And so how can we reward users for collecting cards, and how can we maybe reward users for collecting duplicates, right? And like maybe we can do really cool cosmetics in the common game space. And from that, then it's free for the limited plus game to take that. And we can do fun skins and stuff like that later in line. And then with skins, you can do like badges, avatars, like stadiums, and fun little things to express yourself creatively. But for now, the only kind of limited plus expression we have is like the little badges, as well as how you what kind of cards you collect and then play.
I'll say the common game, like I almost want to call it the common collection game, that I know a number of users who have been playing pro for years, and are participating in like the MLS collections and building common collections, partially because the rewards, whatever the rewards are there, are enticing enough for them. But there's a legitimate effort going into it. And it's like people like submitting super rare lineups, and then they finish their super rare lineups and they start their common collections. And I'm like, I just didn't expect to see that kind of like duality of play for a lot of users. But it's the mechanisms that you guys have put in there is obviously enticing enough to get people to play it.
100%. And I think it's like every scarcity, as I said before, is like a different kind of gameplay. And some people just like the collecting kind of gameplay that the common game offers, as well as more being an onboarding tutorial, but just like kind of like a Panini sticker book, right? Like, oh, I can have an easy way that's like free to like collect these cards and complete these albums. And it's kind of fun to do that. And yeah, I'm like, I've been enjoying it personally to collect the cards. I claim the things every day. But like, we'll see what happens. I think we're going to pump up the collection part of it in the future. And I think that'll really, really help, increase that kind of engagement with the common game.
Love it. Love it. Just a quick shout out here. Javier said the lineup suggestion tool has been fantastic. It helps me close my low priority lineups near the game week start and saves me a ton of time compared to Sorare 25, which, yeah, it's been a great tool that you guys added in. Obviously, like Sorare data closing, there was kind of like this hole that people had, that they were like just being able to create a lineup quickly with the cards that they had, and to see you guys kind of fill that pretty quickly was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then any kind of like, I think the response or the request from the community for that, like, very loudly, helped us prioritize what features we should bring from Sorare data first and foremost. And that was a great, like, quick win that we can have, and that you guys are seeing the value of it. So I'm happy that you're enjoying that.
Before we go into more or what's coming, I was curious what kind of like the biggest challenges you guys had leading up to Sorare 26 in terms, like, was it gameplay design, or was it literally how something looks on the website, or like what were the bigger challenges that you guys had moving into this new season of Sorare? It sounds like I'm asking you to like throw someone under the bus, but I promise that wasn't the intended question.
Yeah, no worries. I think the biggest challenges were just defining the structure, the competition structure. We know we wanted to do like single league competitions, but I think that was relatively quickly, like, getting that sorted. I think the long debates was just the classic gameplay, like the classic gameplay. And so for like months, we just like talked about arena. We talked about the regional competitions. We also talked about, super rare and unique, how maybe unique in season is kind of broken at the start of the season. It's harder to like collect those cards right away to play. So what can we do for that? And so I think those are the main ish hard discussions we had, and from afterwards, it came to prize pools and numbers, and I'm not the numbers guy, so don't attack me or ask me questions about that. But I think that that was like the it came quicker after that. But I think for like 2 months we just had like long debates of what gameplays do we give, what is the daily interactions that we want to do, what are the weekly interactions, what are the monthly interactions, and once we kind of had that vision for the classic gameplay, we kind of sprinted from there.
I'm going to bring up the page that you are allowing me to share here, kind of the future of kind of the live experience. I think a lot of the feedback that I've seen is just it's almost like the biggest thing that was missing from Sorare data is kind of like the live experience stuff. And you and I have kind of talked previously that it is a priority for you guys to kind of like enhance this live experience of being able to track your lineups and whatnot. And this new page that I saw that I'm going to share, which I'll be clear is not available to everybody yet. Before I even show it, is there a timeline on when this might?
I think we want to ship it maybe we want to ship it by, I don't have any guarantees, but maybe end of this week.
Oh, all right. That's actually much sooner than I was expecting. So that sounds.
Yeah, no worries. It's the idea is like, we want to, like, as I said before about, MVPs, like minimal viable product.
Yeah.
Like we want to provide value right away and learn what's not working, what's working. And then just like iterate like each week, each Grand Prix, you know what I mean? And so like, let's just like get this new like aerodynamic system up, set it, see how it goes, and you get feedback right away, rather than spending 3 game weeks on not giving you any value. And so that's the thing. And so I can just like preface this with like, we still have some back end that we need that shows more like information. For example, shows players that you don't have lined up. That's something that we're building. That's not available yet. But what we saw with like the old match center was, it was also like a bicycle, right? It was just to get it there to provide the value to follow your cards that you're playing. And so some of the pain points was that you can't really just like watch all the games. You can only watch the games you're playing and stuff like that. So how can we just like kind of give a match center where you can see all the games, and then you can see like scout players from other teams playing, and then at the same time see your cards and see what lineups those cards are aligned in, and then kind of see how you're doing in that way. And then the next phase is showing all the cards that you have in your gallery, the ones that you didn't line up, so you can kind of see where you missed out, where you can learn from your actions. And then on top of that, we're also delivering another experience of like top players in the game week. So in a given game week, you can just see your top players. You can see by like who's the best performing player per competition, as well as you can filter by your cards, so you can see who you might have missed out on, and then we'll go from there.
So the reason I didn't click through Blue Tomatoes, this is the wrong screen only because I haven't clicked through the screen yet. But one of the things that I think a lot of people didn't know is just this scores section here in the bottom right has existed for a while, and this is where you can see where your players are in line, or what cards you have in lineups based on the games. And so I just like scrolled back to Sundays, but this is kind of the new design here that allows you to scroll through, and you can do either just my cards or all the games, and you just have the full page of players from that game. So if you just click through, as you can see here, I had quite a lot from Midtjylland yesterday, which was okay. But if you just click on that, I believe, and so you have all of the scores here. And what and you mentioned before, like this is only going to include cards that I have in lineups as of now. But the one thing that, and I told Tulga this, I was looking at this before we started, and the one I had like there it is moment. So if you click on one of the players, you get this little panel that shows their score from the match, but also all of the lineups that you had that player in, regardless of scarcity. So they're all here, and then you can see their, the breakdown of all of their points. I'll try to get that a little bigger throughout the match. And I think this is one of those things that a lot of people wanted, because we did have the ability to see our see the games in a day, see the players that we had in the lineup, but it was like, 4 or 5 clicks to see like how our individual players did in our lineups. And now, well, not now for me, but not for everybody else yet, but soon, everybody will be able to have this, and you can just track all of your players each day.
Yeah. So this is like in like a like still in the rough V0 of what we want to do. And you can like filter by competition. You can even tap like other players like that you don't own. You can add them to your watch list. If you see some guy smashing 100, you're like, oh, maybe that guy's like really good. I'll add him to my JPL watch list or whatnot. And then if there's like a players tab, and we want to add like a stats tab. And so in the players tab, it's just very, very elementary of what you can see, but it's like cards that you own of that team, how they scored, as well as like the top performing players in that match. And so this can like eventually like be really, really dynamic, and like who are the best tackling like players, who are the best all around score players on the right hand side, like and so we can kind of curate what we show on this screen based on how you guys are giving us feedback and like what you guys would like. But we want to just start with like easy template, and then like let you guys paint the canvas of what you guys want, and then we can kind of like push up. But I think this is a good starting point of like what the providing value to you guys now, what the live experience could start to look like.
Yeah, I think it's obviously I think it's a significant improvement, which others here are in agreement with. Does the filter icon include an already played toggle? So I guess like it's one of these where if we only wanted to see matches that haven't been played yet. So if you don't want to scroll through, if you're on
if you go to today. Yeah, if you go to today.
Oh, is it this one right here?
I don't know. Sorry, my internet's really slow. Yeah, like today's date, or hit the button today. There should be a filter that's just like show live and upcoming games. So it like filters off all the played games, and you can just focus on live games and games that are coming out.
I don't know if I think we're in a weird time where no games have been played yet today, so it's not taking any out. But
unfortunate timing of picking the day but yeah, that's how it should work. And we're gonna only improve the screen and based on like feedback from the community. But like how it kind of works is like in the design phase is like we design this, we spec it out, we design it, we build it. We have in this like kind of feature flag moment where we then share with internal, and we share with like users on like Discord. Like we have like coaches and share, and so we turn on the flag so people can give their feedback. And then once we feel like it's in a good state where we're providing the value that we like, we kind of like bring it out to like the public.
Yeah, no, I think this is quite exciting in terms of just ease of use. It's exactly what I think a lot of people were hoping for. It's really just the ability to see what you have in play that's not just from your lineups, and obviously like allows you to, what I particularly like about this schedule view at least is if I know I have a match coming up, maybe I want a late arena entry and I'm waiting for lineups to come out, I know that that's coming. And I think that is one of the kind of the important features of the ability to see cards that aren't in lineups yet, because if I'm like saving them for later, now it's like, if I scroll through here, it's like that's the reminder that I have all of these unplayed cards, because maybe I can late entry arena on those.
Yeah, 100%. That's a thing that I've been like asking for, and like that's like the clear issue why we need it. But for those who want to get that value right away, you can definitely go into the arena and go to view all matches, and then see my cards, and you can kind of see who you have. It's like kind of a rudimentary way to do it, but you can still do it in that way for now. Mm-hmm. So
I sometimes cheat in the morning when I try to set my my mission for XP, and then it's like, oh, those are the matches. I know those matches. I don't have many matches coming from today. Are there matches here? Oh, there it is.
I got it first. There you go. Yeah, if you go into the arena.
Yeah, arena.
You can go to my card, and then you can kind of see through that like who you haven't played, and but it's like as I said, it's not like the goal of this page, but like for now, for those who want to do that, you can do that. But we're gonna build the new version soon, so that you guys can build that right away.
Yeah, what's nice about this, and I'm fairly certain this is how it works, because but like these are cards, the available cards that I have for Arena, not like I have other players from, like I have Neymar, but I have Neymar in lineups now. And so these are like the available cards I have for Arena, which I think is actually a really nice touch that I didn't appreciate until I just clicked through it.
No worries.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Blue Tomato said, suggestion for another toggle. And I will say that the more that I did with talking about like user stuff at Sorare Data, the number of like toggles people want is like so great, but you realistically can't have endless toggles on a page. But anyway, see stats from players who aren't lined up this game week, which I think is just like, somewhere to see the highest scoring players, which I think you kind of mentioned earlier.
Yes, I mentioned it before. So what's going to happen is if you go to my lineups, you have like lineups, you have rewards. We're going to have top players. And so there we're just going to show you the top players of each competition in that game week. And you can kind of see like, and you can filter by players you own. So you can only see the players you own, and then you can see who you might have missed out on and stuff like that.
Love it. Yeah, Mike said it was going to help. That's going to help with, or I was going to say that was going to help with late arenas, which I've actually had a very good time with late arena. And it was one of those that I was long somebody who didn't want like late swap because I didn't want to be checking lineups. And here I am doing it for late entry. So I'm just, maybe once all of my cards are back, I won't be as into it. But for now it's been great. And is there,
and I think the thing about the late entry for arenas is that like you're not affecting like a 2,000 people leaderboard. You're only affecting 10 people who also are like-minded and want to play at that moment too, on a certain game or whatever. So really happy with how like the late arena or anytime entry arena is going, and giving the ability to stay engaged when you want at your time, and not affecting everyone, just affecting the people who want to also play the same game.
Yeah, for sure. So the scouting page, because you mentioned that, so the other way to get to the matches is through the scouting page. It's not just through the my scores on the homepage. But in terms of the player scouting pages, you guys added a few different stats recently to the advanced view. Is there any kind of like shorter term plans to add more to this, change it somehow, or should we get comfortable with this layout for a bit?
You can get comfortable with this layout for a bit. I think we added the stats based on, I think, your feedback and on stream with Harry. We listened to you guys and realized we're not providing the right value, and can we add those stats to get you guys to enjoy that? And so I think for now this is kind of the V1 version that we have for now. We're going to monitor usage, get feedback, and then improve this as well.
Yeah, I think stat pages like this they're really, people love to ask for them, and then when they get them, even if it's exactly what they want, they realize they don't really want them. And I don't want to like speak down on somebody who requested it, because this is exactly the kind of page that I would use or that I would request. But you end up building something that takes a lot of resources for a very few number of users who take advantage of it. And it's nice to have, and it works out. It works really well. And the way that you guys have presented it, it helps people kind of find different cards that they want. But like really deep scouting pages are just, they're like high resource products that don't end up being used by a lot of managers. And so it's tough for those who do use them, because they're like, oh, can we add this? Can we add this? Can we add this? And they're just not always the easiest things to update, because even from like a design perspective, it's like, hey, how do we easily show 48 columns of data that 3 people will use this week? And ultimately,
it's kind of like there's a couple things, right? It's like, one is like, as Sorare as a fantasy sports product, if you look at all the different fantasy sports, they have a certain like stats page. Mm-hmm. And so like we should be having some kind of basic structure of what the stats is, so you can kind of at least scout by like see who the best player is, overall, and things like that. I think that's kind of a given. But for all those kind of like really detailed, minute kind of ways of getting playing with the data, that should be for like third party kind of apps to own. I think we should provide just the general stats and allow you to organize and see players based on that. But once it starts going to manipulating the data that we get from Opta, that should be more of a third party kind of app that for those users who are really into that. And so, I think it's really important. It's a really good way you said. It's like sometimes there's like a loud minority and there's a silent majority. And we have to be in tune when we listen to feedback of making sure what we're hearing provides value to, to the majority of players. And as you said, like,
Blue Tomatoes, Tulga was thinking that at least for the matches tab, may go live later by the end of this week. I would say by the end of next week, just to make yourself feel better when it inevitably comes earlier than this. But Tulga, we haven't really talked about the mobile app that much, and I'm kind of curious where that fits in with you guys, because it's not as simple as like we added this to our main website and it's automatically in the app. Like there's significant work that has to get done, particularly with the fact that you have one for iOS and Android. So like, where does the mobile design and then implementation fit into everything that you guys are doing?
Great question. That's a very fully loaded question. But
Yeah.
So the thing about mobile is I think the issue with mobile that we had before was before I joined, there was they had like a agency work on the mobile app, and then after I joined, we focused on Rivals as the main onboarding experience. So the mobile app has seen so many different phases of like a vision for it, and it's kind of like has a lot of growing pains, and so we have a mobile team that's like really motivated, and we have the final vision, and so we're kind of like crafting what does the mobile app look like for users on the go who want to play the pro game, and like focusing on notifications, focusing on like scores, like watching, so like the focus should be on the mobile app to focus on like the live app experience, being like a companion to the Sorare manager on the go, or like lie in bed, just wanting to like consume, the like games,
Yeah.
And so I think, for example, sometimes we also believe that like mobile is social, right? It's like it should be the one that kind of spearheads the social kind of features that we want to do, because inherently when you're on your phone, you can share things with your friends. You're always messaging anyway, and so you can see that circles came to iOS first. And if users who don't know like circles it's like you can basically follow, like create a circle of your friends who you follow, and you can kind of like see how they did in a given game week, and you can kind of like see their rewards, see the lineups they played, and it's like our first foray into the social landscape in like mobile. And so we're learning from that, and they're like the scouts, send out far west to kind of explore that. And now based on the learnings and what we like, we're bringing it to web, and so we're kind of like playing this nature of like we want the mobile team, when we build a product, if it makes sense in terms of on-the-go companion like kind of experience, the mobile team should take it in and build it. So they're going to build, as you said, like the scores was the number one thing, notifications, but they're going to have like the top players as well in the scores like or scout section. So they'll have all this like important stuff in terms of live like experience, and at the same time, they'll start like going a little deeper into like the social aspects of the product. In terms of like buying, it's kind of hard because as you know, iOS, like Apple, they kind of take taxes on a lot of things of what we do. So like it's very expensive or downright impossible for Google to like kind of like buy cards on the app based on their own like app store rules. So like those are the issues of what we can do. But what can we do to have, as you said before, like give you notifications if you have trade offers, if things are about to end, you can kind of do that. And so that's the focus. We kind of want to stay legally out of trouble and focus on the experience of like on the go, like notify you if a lineup is doing really well, if someone scored on a lineup you're following, if your friend is winning a crazy reward, stuff like that.
I wasn't actually thinking that we would end up on the social thing today, but since we're here, I'm going to keep that going, because there's kind of like this, there's the ability obviously to like follow other managers on the site, and you can see other people's results, but it feels like and Philly Dilly kind of brought this up, like the team thing that went on for the Global Cup. Is there, how do you guys kind of envision the social aspect of Sorare, and in terms of, like you were saying, the circles thing is available now for iOS, and is it like, what is your vision of how Sorare fits into like a more social game amongst people? Because while there's a lot of interaction, whether it's in, live streams or on Discord, there's ultimately everybody's just kind of like building lineups for themselves and hoping to beat everybody else at each game week. And so where do you guys see yourself kind of fit in on like the social landscape of people playing games like this?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think if you think about fantasy in general, like in like traditional fantasy and whatever, it's really a social game. And you play you make lineups with your friends, you follow, you have like little group chats with your friends. You can, talk shit about like who put like a really terrible lineup in. And like those are the fun moments that enhance like the whole experience of following sports. And so we definitely want to tap into that. You saw with like rivals leagues, even with private leagues before, we kind of like played into that world, but we didn't do a good execution, I think. And then with rivals, it was just a different product. So what I can say is that we want to do it. We don't like have the focus on it right now, because we want to focus on the PvE experience of hot streaks, the setting up lineups and leaderboards and everything. But it's interesting is that we're seeing Arena as a cool space to like play small leaderboards with friends, and that could be an angle. But I think we are still trying to define what that could be, and we're not ready to like explain what, we don't have a vision for it yet. We're on like the other stuff first, and having the mobile side kind of explore their world with circles and see how far we can take that. But I think that's like the answer is like circles, and kind of seeing where that goes, learning from that experience and how users are interacting with it, what they want from it, and then crafting an experience that's more within that realm.
So I kind of was thinking this as well. Liam said, I think Arena fills the social aspect, although we don't necessarily, like, we don't have the ability to invite specific people into arenas. Liam also added, if we could have chat boxes, that would be great, as long as it's friendly and fun, which feels like somebody who doesn't spend a lot of time on the internet, but but it would be great to like talk to people in arenas. Like I think that's, and actually there was where was the other one? Cameron said, I want to be able to challenge people for Essence. Like, I think the ability to kind of create arenas amongst friends is really interesting. I don't know how that fits in with any of like your plans for where Arena goes. I think one of the really fun things that I think it was when we talked with Momo as well, just kind of like where Arena can go, and that there are opportunities to make it quite customizable. Obviously, that's easier said than done from like technical and design standpoints, but it feels like Arena is the easiest path, I want to say, to like making a more at least a smaller circle social game. And I say easiest because I just haven't thought of anything else, but I'm kind of curious if you guys kind of equate Arena or the possibilities of Arena to like the social aspect of Sorare.
Laird, can you hear me still? I kind of like dropped. I don't think I heard the last bit of that question.
So yeah, I think you're still here, but like basically like is there kind of this thought, and I don't want to call it plans, but like, is there a thought to make kind of customizable arenas and have that be kind of the social aspect that you guys kind of attack?
Yeah. So I think the idea is we want to start with small, with just like our own like rooms that we create that are like competitions, and they be different rules. Afterwards, we wanted to maybe do affiliates first, and just like have like, like leaders in the space, and like who have communities, and like have them be able to play together. That goes, and then from there we can learn, and then eventually maybe do like arenas with friends, and that'd be a really, really fun experience. But I think we need to take the right steps and learn, rather than jump straight to something that might end up like rivals leagues or private leagues, and then it's more painful to remove it.
I think that last point is something that we don't appreciate that much, and I think you touched on it actually during the kind of the DMP discussion of when you guys implement something, the hope is that it's there forever, and it's not like you're trying to put in kind of these temporary solutions to then change it again and again and again. And so it certainly makes sense of like not wanting to rush whatever arena can become just because people happen to be asking for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we can see, oh, it's really clear. It could be really great. Like let's just add it. But there's dangers to that, right? You don't understand the full complexity of the whole kind of ecosystem, what you're creating. And so if you just rush and build some kind of fun little thing on the side, it gets really patchwork, like you're
Yeah.
kind of duct taped onto the experience. And it could cause more pain, confusion to new users or stuff like that. So we want to just understand the whole complexity of what like social can be, and then once we kind of define that whole vision, we can then craft a really great experience for users. But I don't want to like rush into it. I think that was an issue earlier before I joined Sorare. Like they kept, we kept on like creating new things and then unfortunately having to take it away. And I think that two things is it's like it's very painful to the user and also hurts like trust. Like what are we doing next? And so the goal for me now and the teams, like we have this vision and do the new features we create, are they in line with that vision, and do they answer all the tenets that we have that we hold ourselves to?
So speaking of like change and all that, and I think it's very difficult for you to answer this question because it's August 4th and Sorare 26 is about a month old, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If everything kind of goes as planned, I guess, for Sorare 26, like, do you expect that the Sorare 27 ideally looks just the same, or do you guys think you'll kind of greatly iterate each year? Like we know even like video games, some of them can kind of change, not necessarily every year. They'll do some smaller changes, and then every so often there's kind of these bigger ones. Or it's like, is the goal to have something that's consistent year to year, or is it like, hey, this year this is our challenge, and we're gonna try to build from there?
Yeah, I think the goal is consistency, right?
Okay.
And it's like we gotta like I feel like based on how well Sorare 26 does, the goal is to keep like that's why we had those like 6-month meetings is so we can keep that vision. And the only reason why we would change is if we're not growing, we're not meeting we don't have product market fit, but we're pretty confident with like the things we're doing to make sure we're addressing the needs of the market. There's a clear value for us, and the people are enjoying our product. And then from there, if it works out, it's like the only differences will be the nuance in like the maybe lineup bonuses or like arena modes and things like that to like kind of give the flavor of like a different kind of stuff, and also card collecting, right? And so there's so many other parts of the experience, as you said before, like next season, if it all works out, we can do like collectibility, cool skins and all those other things, and social. And so I think we need to focus on making sure that we built out the right rubric of what we want to do, and hopefully we stay consistent. That's the goal, I think.
No, yeah, I think, and obviously none of us know what's going to happen. So but it's comforting. Comforting is not the right word, but it's nice to hear that that's sort of the goal, and it's not, because I think there is this, there is a part of the community that is like, man, it just seems like they're changing things every single year without really thinking of why. And I think once you kind of dial into that, and I want to hope that at least my content tries to explain that, of like, there are reasons why changes need to be made, and you guys don't change things just to change them. Like that's not, nobody is trying to do that. But if something's not working, I think what's nice is that you guys are willing to, and what feels like faster than ever, recognize that something is not working and do what you can to adjust so that it doesn't keep not working either for you guys or for users. Like I think there are certain things that have happened that the users are just like, this doesn't work right, or doesn't we can't use it correctly. And you guys are very quick now to make those adjustments, which is great, because like you said, you're still thinking 6 months out, but you guys are still very effective at changing things in the short term that need to be switched. So I just don't want that to go like
it's
kind of
kind of
unnoticed
like
by users.
oh yeah, no worries. And it's kind of like I was like, if you go back to F1, it's like the car is like, let's say it's like 20 seconds slower than every other car, and like why invest in like increasing it, like invest so much time in increasing like maybe a millisecond or a couple of milliseconds on this design if we're 20 seconds behind everything else. And so like we really got to focus on we got to change everything to make sure we're up in being staying competitive in the product space.
I feel like this is a question I should ask Nicola, but you're here, and so you get to kind of answer it. Of just where do you see Sorare amongst the users in terms of, is it a football product? Is it a fantasy product? Is it an entertainment product? Like where do you guys build from that lens of like, and I don't mean like who are you competing with in terms of resources or time, but like what sort of product do you feel like you guys are building?
Yeah, that's a great question that Nico has like the perfect answer for. And like I always look to him because he has like that great line that he says it and it's really inspiring. But I don't know if I could do it justice what he says, but it's about like the future of sports entertainment, right? And we want to be the future of sports entertainment, and that's the vision, right? Like you can never like it's like we need something that any kind of thing we do, we see that that's the clear vision, and so we always like see like are this feature or these things leading up to that experience, or are we providing that value to the user? So whatever that is, like the goal is we want to make sure that the Sorare experience is like the future of sports entertainment, consuming technology, like consuming like sports, and like while leveraging like this kind of Web3 space, and like and playing with like assets, and like owning these like cool collectibles, and kind of like enhancing your football fandom, right? And so like that's kind of like the overarching mission, and it really depends on how users or managers kind of like think about what that means to them in terms of like how they like enhance their own fandom. Is it through collecting? Is it through fantasy playing? Is it through just like staying in communities like this and kind of like talking about the talking shop? I think it all depends on that. So the goal is that at like high level, and then granular. For me, for example, I think it's collectibility and fantasy is first and foremost, and like that it's like two little like pillars, and like how can we enhance both? I don't know if I like answer that question perfectly, but Nico is that guy who sets that grand vision, and I look to him for those kind of answers.
No, I think that was great. I put you on a tough spot there. That's probably one that he's had to say over and over and over again, which is why he's nailed it at this point.
Yeah.
It does feel like how do I say this? It feels like there are more people who are collecting cards lately that are not doing it just for gameplay. And I realize we say that after we were joking about people scouting like the highest seal point players that nobody's ever heard of, but it does feel like there is maybe just a more public discussion about cards that are collectible on the platform. I know that like Gambool has been collecting a lot of like the early season cards, or first season cards, and doing giveaways and getting people to kind of appreciate kind of where Sorare's come just from a card design perspective, and the fact that those cards feel like collectibles. And I'm curious where, like, you as the company who creates these things, it's almost like you can't decide what's collectible. Like it's ultimately the people who are collecting them do it. And so what's it like seeing people kind of create their own collections using your product?
I think it's sick, and the things like what Gambool is doing is like really really cool to like highlight that. I think everyone has their own like take on what is collectible to them, and like what's right. Like if it's a significant memory or a club, or if they're into like number one mints or jersey mints, like those are like the basic ones. But everyone that has their own experience, like for me, I would love to get like an Iniesta or like a these kind of players that like goats from my generation, and when I was like a kid watching him, and like hopefully getting their jersey, like those cards from that season. And I think that even like Topps and Panini back in the day, or even the card, like in the beginning, it was just to have the cards and have fun with it. It's the market and the collectors that kind of create that equity of like collectability, and then they create the culture of what cards to covet. So I just love that we can create the content for you guys to collect the cards and then craft the story. And I think that right now, yeah, obviously like collectability isn't like a huge thing, but if later down the line, like some of the people, like even like Simply Alex, that guy, like the strategy he's doing of collecting these kind of interesting cards is just like super cool. And like down the line, like who knows what'll happen. But I think for us, our job is to just keep on making sure that we like stay alive as a business. We can pump out these really cool cards because it means a lot to everyone, you know, to even myself. Like I love these cards. They're so fun to like look at. The next this season's cards are going to be super, super sick. And like it's a fun creative challenge. So how can we kind of like, with like the constraints we have, how can we create like a new set of cards, like dope looking cards? How can we create like special editions that people can be really gravitated to? Like some people really love like the Sakura edition. Some people love the summer edition. And so like our job is just to make sure we can create those cards for you guys to collect. And then it's up to you guys and the market to determine that collectability. But I think that we have like a sick creative team, and like we're you know, we're enjoying. The cool thing is that everyone loves what they're doing in the creative side. They like are really passionate with it, and you can kind of see that that passion come out through the cards. And like, for example, the reveal ceremonies and all the special editions and animated parts that you get.
Yeah, I think I was talking to somebody the other day about all the early access cards. We kind of forgot that we're going to have that, like the reveal day where we get to see the special editions and stuff like that. And I feel like there is kind of a contingent of people who don't feel like they're collectible yet. And yet I kind of make this this point that like collectible, or not every card in every set is a collectible. And so, you know, whether it's, you know, from Topps or, you know, baseball cards from 35 years, 50 years ago, whatever it is, just because something exists doesn't mean it's collectible. But there are certain cards within a collection that become collectible. And we are like, it's impossible to argue that it hasn't already happened on Sorare, because we've seen people who go out of their ways to collect like very certain cards. And you don't need everybody to think every card is collectible. It's just, you know, those few people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what starts
100%.
it, you know?
Yeah, like I'm at my parents' house right now, and like I have all my old Pokemon cards here, and like I had like a million potions or like energy cards and like random Professor Oak cards. You know, like those are just like, you know, part of the like you have to have those cards and whatever. But the ones that you really like the Charizards and the Hollows and all those moments. And it's also like that's why you kind of release those special editions, because there's only a limited amount of them. And so later down the line, you can say like, oh, like the Sakura edition, like that's rare. It's so rare. But like it's like, you know, it's gonna be like moments like that where you have those like cool moments of collectability. And I think that's why what we're trying to do with like each new season, each limited edition, come out with like limited amounts of each, and then later down in the future, like you'll see like, oh, that from that season, that special edition, like there's only a couple of it, and it's like a sick kind of card, versus like, yeah, all cards aren't going to be like collectible. And as you said, and so it's up to us to just continue to create that content for you guys to create and craft and to covet those kind of moments, the cards.
I wanted to bring up this question because I had the same thought. Javier said, what was the idea behind the SD card early access design? It's really cool because it's creatively fresh. And I went to go pull it up, and Paul Pogba's auction was about to end. And I was like, man, I don't know why I've always been like a Paul Pogba stan, but like I love Pogba. And so these are really cool. But like, yeah, where did this design with this kind of like SD card?
He was great.
He was.
For sure.
But where did they
before that, like, I wish I could collect. Can you hear me still? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No. Yeah, I wish I can collect like that Juventus team that won the Scudetto with like all the free players they got with like Pirlo, Pogba, Marquisio. Like that's such a fire collection of cards that I wish I can collect. And that's, I think, adds to that, you know, like the storylines of those teams and like the major players on those teams that created those storylines. And Pogba is one of them, right? So yeah, I can go a bit into like the idea of what these cards are. So every season, what we do is we think of a new art direction for the season. And so last year was like more of like that liquid kind of material. And this season, what we want to do is because we want to like gamify like the whole Sorare 26, we thought of like what is like the direction we want to do for the creative, and the creative was like sport tech and like this kind of like Y2K kind of a techie moment that you see in like Ghost in the Shell, or those kind of moments, and like those kind of like retro sci-fi movies. You have like SD cards that you can take to like kind of like put in, and it actually wasn't like initially that, but the constraint we had was we do packs now in the common market, and we can't really like do packs for a single card, because then if you go into like the market, common pack, and you open a pack, it's weird to have packs of packs. And so that constraint gave us a really interesting way to think about what we can do. And because of this idea, we brought back to like, okay, let's do like an SD card, and how can we push that and make it really techie and like really kind of, because we are a Web3 company, let's lean in a bit to that kind of DNA in our own way that's creative and fun. And what's cool is that you see like the JPL and like the other ones are like a different style, and that's because we wanted to like harken back to like the retro vibe of like the old Macs, and like so you have like the old SD cards, like it's like a retro of like our DNA as like we started with the JPL, and so we want to like kind of like give a nod to like that retro style that you get from like old Mac computers and like the old tech. And then to like the new season, like what we're pushing towards is like that really sick like chippy neon light kind of like direction. And kind of like if you look at like game UI, you can kind of see like that in those like kind of like cyberpunk or whatever, like those kind of like really really kind of interesting patterns and gadgets like that they play with. And you can kind of see in like all the new competitions that we have, the background is very like that sport tech feel, where you have like the what's it called, like the motherboard chip and like the little like wiring connecting the circuits, and like and so the early access is like, let's do like a SIM card, and that SIM card can then like we go in like I don't want to reveal too much about the reveal, but like that SIM card contains all the data of this player, and then once you like reveal it, you'll see like it's gonna be a really cool experience that like completes the story of that narrative.
I didn't expect you to give us too many details on that, but I do know that I've had that discussion with multiple people like about the reveal, because obviously last year, like if it's in a pack, the kind of easy thing is just like you just rip open the pack and that's it. And yeah, the possibilities feel somewhat endless of what you could do with an SD card, the whole part of it. What does it go into? And you guys have been kind of like working on the craft factory for a while, and like that whole factory concept was big last year, and just where it goes with this new SD card. Because I do remember when we first saw them, everyone was like, whoa, this is not the same as last. These weren't just like the wrappers from last year. Like these are these are like SD chips, and like what does that mean? And it like that in itself spurred kind of conversations of like what we're gonna see in a few months or next month, I would guess.
Yeah, it's sick. And I think that the creative team did such a great job with crafting that art direction, and I think the product and tech and everyone just like kind of leaned into it, and like you can kind of see in every single motif on the site now, even down to like the 26 logo is like a chip, and the cards will be really really cool, I think. And even like the typography of the card, we're using this kind of like sport, like it's called like a new like typeface called Precio. It's like a little bit more rigid and a little bit more narrow, that lends itself to that kind of 90s Y2K sport kind of like sci-fi. And so we kind of like took over the whole new like titles of what's it called, our fonts in the actual product to be like to take this new typeface. And so like last season's card, you can see it was like the blockier rigid, and we took that as like the main kind of fun everywhere. And so what we're trying to do is like see, can we play with the product where it takes in the art direction of the card season, so it's like in season aligned, is very in line together.
How many different designs did you have for this year's cards? Like did you guys kind of like agree on the SD card and went from there, or was it did you have all sorts of ideas of what to do? Maybe you can't even tell me.
No, I mean, like we have I think as you said before, it's like that discussion of when I said like the 6 month vision, it's like the creative is involved, and they're, we're all makers, and their focus was the creative of the like the early access, the cards, and my focus was on the product experience and the gameplay, and then tech is on the constraints we have of like all the other kind of gamification. So like, yeah, I think early on we had a good understanding of like we had to do something different. I think the SIM card was like the feeling. We went through a couple iterations of different styles. A lot of feedback of like, does this chip feel good? Does it feel like something else? Are we showing like IP enough? Are we showing the scarcity enough with this kind of new style? And I think that the creative team did a great job. But yeah, we saw like 3 different styles, iterations, and we kind of leaned on towards this one.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. There were a couple questions about badges, because we have badges for like the MLS streaks. And do you think, or do you know if we'll have them for all the other leagues now that have hot streaks available to them? I would show mine, but I haven't even hit the 3rd one in MLS, which is just so frustrating for a whole nother level.
Oh no, yeah. I saw also Nep was like 0.1 away from on all his teams about getting the badge. So yeah, I think the badge was part of the MLS hot streak test to see how it worked, and so I think we're not doing anything yet to my knowledge, focusing more on just providing the promo, the 5x one-shot promo, which we should hopefully try to do because it's kind of crazy, as well as the lower thresholds. And so those are the kind of things we want to do, and also focus on like sealing competitions. And so like at a certain like vault level, you unlock certain things. And I think that's the focus we want to get into. Yeah, so nothing for now for the badges.
I think we're all comfortable accepting bigger prizes for not having badges. So I wouldn't take any feedback of somebody wanting a badge and be like, I'd rather that than 5x prizes or whatever it is. But the talk about where we talked about special edition cards a little bit before, and I wanted just a quick question because it's more one that I've been kind of curious about, but other people have brought it up to me. I think it was when you guys did the Liverpool away kits, those special edition jerseys or special edition cards, excuse me. And I think there were other special editions before that. And there was kind of this feedback of how many special edition cards can you have in a season before they're not really special. Like obviously each set is special, but if you have 1,000 limited cards and 600 of them are assorted special editions, like do you guys have not that there has to be like a maximum, but do you guys have kind of an idea of how many special edition cards you want to do per season?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think maybe like, I don't know if I can even say, because it's like, the marketing team and what they want to do, but I think it's our job, as I said before about collectability, is like create those special editions so that people can covet a certain type of set, depending on that. And so like, because we do that, we create even more limited availability of a certain scarcity. So instead of just 1,000 of the same card, you're creating like a small subset of the limited in a certain style that then maybe can become coveted later in the future. So I think that's like part of the idea of why we do that. And also because it's just fun, just to collect different types of the same card. It's cool to kind of like, it goes to show how we want the managers to express themselves by the cards that they collect and the ones that they appreciate. And so, yeah, it might not be special to everyone, but to the person who gets that card, who focuses on that, it's really special to them. And so the idea is not special edition, like, oh yeah, like whatever, but it's the special edition to yourself and how you express yourself through the collecting that specific card versus the other version of it.
There was a user, and I'm fairly certain, I was trying to look it up here, but I'm not sure. I don't want to give credit to the wrong person, but there was a user who, and I first learned them because they bought a card from me a long time ago, but they only wanted the serial number 10 for every card that they bought. And it was like a wild gallery to look at because literally every card was a 10. And if they won anything, it was like, if it wasn't 10, which usually it wasn't because odds are it wouldn't be, but that was their goal. Like every card is 10. And I think what you just mentioned there about, the special edition cards allow people to kind of show off how they want to collect. And Mike said it's P10. I thought it was JP10, but maybe it was just P10. But it is really important that in a product that you do collect, and not to say you have to, but if there is an opportunity for you to collect and show off what you have with a specific way, I only have one-ofs, or I only have jersey mints, or I only have the 10th min of everyone. It's a really fun way to play the game as a way to also like show off what you're able to do in it. And the special edition cards is I like that point that you made, that it kind of like creates a subset of the collection, because it does allow people who are like, wow, like the Golden Boy cards, I think, are like some of the best designs. And like, if you just wanted to have, I want a Musiala, and it's like, well, there's a Golden Boy Musiala. Like those are like cards that not everyone can have, because you guys don't make 1,000 of them. You just make whatever the number is. And so I think it's just like a tough balance, because if you have too many special edition cards, and it's like, how special can they be, even if they're kind of different? But you also have a user base that really likes them, and not everybody has to like every special edition, but if there are enough people who like a certain one, that's great. And so it works out well, and it just kind of goes back to those who are like, they're not that collectible yet, as we continue to see people collecting very specific things because they want to own them.
Yeah, it goes to like even like soccer jerseys, right? Like I like Brazil, right? I can collect just a regular Brazil jersey, or I can go back and choose like the 98 2002 World Cup like R9 jersey, right? And like that's like my collection of how I express myself, and like it can go same for cards. And I think that back then it's like, okay, yeah, it's just a jersey, it's in the shop, you see a bunch of them, but now you're like, whoa, like that's like a sick jersey to have to show, and so I think I definitely see that vision of why it is like that. And also, if I put my business hat on, like, special editions, our main business model is selling cards, right? And so like, if you only sell one card and that many times, I feel like you're not doing your job well in terms
Sure.
of, like what can we do to make it more dynamic, more fun, and special editions are one of the ways we can do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to, so I actually have the gallery here. And I'll just go back, because I think playing in season stuff, it becomes a little harder. But if you just look through, like Pizzella 10 of, Proper 10, Ferran Torres 10,
That's great.
and it's every single, I think it's every single one.
Wow, look at Verbruggen 18. That's
yeah, it's great. And I remember when I forget, I think the guy they bought from me was Christian Ramirez. It was a Krasnodar card, but I had no reason to sell the card. Like I wasn't trying to sell it. And he was like, I collect every, like all the 10s if I can. And I was like, what do you mean? And he just sent me his gallery, and I sold the card immediately to him. I was like, this card means way more to you than it does to me. So you can please take that one.
That's amazing. I love that. That's such a cool way to collect, honestly. There's another guy too. I like Risu Daisuke. He used to play and collect, and like it's just such a cool feeling to like, yeah, you collect the cards, but you're also winning like through that collection. And so when your lineup goes up on the leaderboards and you see those cards, it's like you're flexing so hard of like what's it called? You're flexing so hard of like the collections you have and why you collect in a certain way. And I remember like, yeah, he used to play, but he collected in a really cool way that I wish a lot of players kind of play that style, because it's very expressive. And I feel like in footy, you can be really regimented with like how you play your German center mid, like Kimmich, or you play like a Brazilian like winger, and you just like kind of express yourself. And I think those are the fun ways to express yourself. And so giving managers that vehicle as a way to express themselves is really cool to collect.
For sure. And there was a user a while ago named Axa who only collected one-ofs and jersey mints. And I remember this was before the collection game existed. And they were just like, I just really like them. I think they're cool. Like the idea of the one of or the jersey mints is really cool, and that's all they bought. And then the collection game happened, and it was like, oh, that worked out well for them. But it was just, yeah, like you said, I think I made. I think it was the first week that we had SO7 for, well, that we had it, but like I made an all-star lineup that was like all jersey mints, and I was like, give me a bonus for all jersey mints. But me collecting jersey mints isn't anything different than somebody collecting all the 10 ofs. But I think that what you said is really a fun way to think of it. It's just like it's a different way for you to express yourself on a site where, if you looked at Sorare and you're just like, yeah, it's a fantasy football game, and it's like, well, it is a fantasy football game, but it also gives you the opportunity to play, like you said, with different players and whatnot, but also if like I only play special edition cards. And so like when you see the lineups, in a leaderboard, it's like, whoa, that's literally like 5 or 7 special edition cards. And just like you said, it's a way to express yourself that regular fantasy games they literally just don't offer it.
Yeah,
they can't.
It's kind of like if you play. Yeah, if you like, I think I grew up in the city in New York, and like when you go to high school, like you're always like you get like the limited edition like sneakers. When you play cards, you get like the holos and everything. And when you're playing, you're kind of like just really swaggy about it, and like you're like, oh shit, like what does he have, And so like you can do the same on Sorare, and like you can play like just collect like the top Bayern guys, or you do it in a really cool way and collect all the really unique Bayern cards, either the rookie edition with the club that came from previously, one with a sick jersey that you really like, and play that way, and like try to like have fun in that kind of creative way. And I think that's such a cool concept that no other fantasy team can have, and that's what NFTs are, right? It's like you're collecting, and how can we merge the two together and create this cool experience?
That's one of the things that I tried to. I was going to say tried to like convince myself. But there were like when I started the Ren collection years ago, and it was like, these are guys. It's not that I discovered these guys early, but I had this. It was actually this Kamavinga card that I thought was like, this solidified me going like heavy in the collection, where it was like people know Kamavinga either from Real Madrid, the French national team, but it was like he came from Ren, and like this is like me like flexing that I knew back then, even though I'm fairly certain he was already at Real Madrid when I was there. But I liked the idea of like having the card early. And the same thing with this,
Exactly.
my Tchouameni Monaco card. And it's like, these are guys this is what you can do on Sorare. You can go back and you can find the guys who went on to do great things. Like the Arda Güler cards before he was at Real Madrid. And it's like, it gives you the opportunity. Like you said, it's basically a flex of like, I knew ahead of time, and it's just cool that we can go back. It's basically thanks to Web3, blockchain, whatever it is, that like we don't have to go searching in card stores looking for an old Kamavinga card, but it's like, it's right here. And if you wanted to be somebody who like only had them from previous teams or their first teams on Sorare, like Jeremy Doku is in that collection, and a bunch of other like younger stars that, it's like, hey, I knew, and it's a cool way to flex.
Yeah, and I would challenge you in maybe a next iteration of your streams, like play an arena lineup with just those flex cards, and see how good it feels, because then those are the type of times when actual managers are checking your lineups and like staying up to date. And if they click your lineup and they see like that, like it's like, oh, this guy, like he knows his stuff, or he balls, or he has a certain style and you appreciate it. And I want to build that culture, of like, and I think that's huge for the arena and make that social moment. So those are the kind of things I want to enhance and improve. But we're just at the start, and the first thing is product market fit, making sure we're providing the value to a huge range of sports fans. There's millions of sports fans around the world who just play fantasy and don't really have that experience. And I love the product. I love the vision of what we're doing, the collectibility, and like how can we then make a product for those people as well, so that everyone can come in and experience like what we're all experiencing, and then see how they express themselves. It's really curious, and I think that's what creates that cult, like kind of following that cult, the culture of like like revering certain kind of cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's even part of it of some people see those cards and they're like, I had no idea that those cards even existed. Like that, maybe they've only played for 2 years. Maybe they just started playing and they're like, oh no, these are the the early access cards, and it's like, no, you can get like these cards have been around for a while, and like you can get these cards, and they're like, oh, like there's like an eye-opening part of it where you're just like, this platform offers a lot more than just fantasy football.
For sure.
I have this question from Bobby, which I was speaking to somebody the other day about the National Series cards, and I think they said that the Lionel Messi National Series cards will like, he thinks those will be like really collectible one day. And National Series cards have basically never been part of the game, like the fantasy game, outside of being rewards from it. But Bobby said, have you thought of different parts of Sorare that's just collectible for main events with albums like Panini has? And the National Series cards were kind of the example of that. Have you guys thought about like bringing non-utility cards back?
Yeah, and probably not for now, because I think that our space is like providing a card that has utility and that you can do fantasy with. And I think we want to stick to that realm first, so that we can promise, well, you know, when you're buying something, you can expect certain things rather than creating that confusion on the market of like, is this that versus this, especially for new users. So yeah. But I think that regardless, like if you look at your collections, right, that's the whole Panini book in and of itself, and you guys should fill those collections up.
I think what you said, it actually makes a really good point of just like it ends up confusing people of like, wait, which one of these do I actually use for the games or not? What are, if you can say, because obviously we talked about the live game experience that you guys are releasing in the next 2 weeks, I'll give you. If you can say, like, what are some of the priority areas that you guys will focus on over the next, let's call it 3 months, just because I'm not sure Sorare managers can think beyond that.
Yeah, for sure. If I go from like each squad, like we have an onboarding team, right? And all they're focused on is onboarding new users, engaging, keeping them activated to like set lineups every week. Cause like, it's hard when people understand the game. It's like, what am I doing? Everything is so new to them, scoring system, cards, whatever. So we have a whole team dedicated to the onboarding experience. We have like a really unique now, like kind of like a quiz questionnaire of like helping you build your first limited lineup based on the league you follow, the teams you support, or the teams you think will do well in the next couple of game weeks. And so we kind of like build you a lineup, and you can then like edit and customize that lineup and then check out. And so we have like a whole team dedicated to like how can we make a really smooth onboarding experience. And then we have a team dedicated to like the onboarding game. So if you don't want to like go pro immediately, can we like do the whole onboarding game, what's it called? They do like a path to pro with like, once you craft your first limited card, what does that mean? And that's a whole another question. And then on the engagement side, like the gameplay side, we're focused on the championship. So the championship is like the bragging rights of who's the best Sorare manager over a long period, like a longer period of time than just a game week. And then also Arena 2.0. So like, how can you play Arena, whether it's in a unique competition, or maybe it's like an affiliate room, or kind of stuff like that. On the market side, we're focused on, the reveal ceremonies and like getting all the cards to, once you reveal your card, how does it look like, that whole experience. Also making improvements to the crafting experience. On the mobile side, it's kind of just catching up and making sure we have a great live experience with whether it's notifications, how do you customize your notifications, what information is important to you. And then finally, on the US sports side, it's NBA season, the new season. And so, maybe we bring the common game to the new season, the one that we have for football. And so it's like the whole breadth of the projects and stuff like that.
Do you guys spend, like, because you kind of mentioned like onboarding new users, helping them build a new limited lineup, like to play pro right away versus once you want to play common. It feels like that's a bit of a shift, because at least from the existing user perspective, and I realize I'm probably more critical of Sorare than in terms of just like analyzing what's happening. It felt like there was most of the onboarding work previously was about getting people to play the common game and then go from common to pro. And now it seems like you guys are doing some that's just like going right into pro. Am I reading that correctly? Or because the way that I always thought of it is, it was actually easier for me to sell the game to go right to pro, because it's like, if you're going in that direction anyway, let's just get there. But it did feel like, when it was Rivals or the Common, I mean, like Common All-Star way back when. But is there more of a push, and is it because you guys have seen more people who are willing to just jump right to pro as opposed to going through the common steps?
Actually, the people who do onboarding on the common game first, like, have been converting better. But the issue is, right now with the start of the new season, there's super high intent to play the pro game.
Right.
And so we want to, like, what if we force the common game to them? They have to go through a lot of hurdles or find like hidden ways to upgrade, and like we don't want to do that. We want to like have them have like a streamlined experience to go play the pro game and just help them get to what they want to do, rather than just kind of like, have them force them through like a tutorial mode. And the second thing is, once the new season finishes, like hype kind of dies down a bit, we're also at the same time working on the common game, because it's not final vision either. And so once the common game becomes like the final vision, that will probably be the main onboarding. But it's just not there yet to be efficient and optimized as a funnel. And so we're kind of like, working on so many different things, and this is our best bet for the new season hype, to guide those people who want to just play and buy the cards, just do that right away. And then once we improve the common game, have that be more optimized for allowing users to upgrade to the limited version. We'll switch the what's it called, the lever to the other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the interesting thing that I kind of like was thinking about that was back to something you said kind of early on in our stream here, that like sometimes like hiding things from people that if they don't need it, and maybe it's that like if somebody kind of shows the interest right away of playing pro, like do you just hide the common stuff because they don't necessarily like, they're just steps they have to go through, and if you can eliminate those steps, then do that. But then made me kind of think additionally, like, what are some of the other examples, even from like existing users, of things that you guys feel like should be hide feels like a negative term to me, but it's like it's basically cleaning up the interface for users to make it easier. So like, what are some of the examples of things that you may hide, like existing users?
Oh, that's a good one. Existing users, it depends, right? If they're coming back from like like as I'm not playing for a while, we might hide. Actually, I don't know. It really depends. For existing users, it's harder because like every existing user plays the game differently.
Yeah.
And it's hard for us to like anticipate what they might not find useful. For the super rare unique managers, it's very different as well. They have different priorities of what they want to play. Do they even care about common? But then you said you're, a friend of yours collects common cards, so it's hard. But it's easier for us to first start at the new user because they're like baby steps. And then I think once you go into the existing user, the complexity just exponentially increases, and we have to be really aware of what's happening. But that's like a not a great answer to the question, but it's hard to hide things for existing users based on a generalized version of what we understand as an existing user, because every existing user plays a different scarcity, plays a certain type of game mode, or collects, or even plays a common mode, and so the world becomes their oyster. The idea is more at the beginning of the journey. What do we hide and then unlock to then have you discover what you really want to play?
Yeah, that's actually, I guess as you walked through that, it made less sense for me to even ask, because obviously you would think that users who have been around a while with lots of cards don't need anything hidden because they have already gone through kind of the things that you would hide. But like a new user coming in probably doesn't need to see like all of the unique competitions, because they're probably just, my guess is not many people come in and start buying uniques right away.
Yeah, and it's already hidden. Like for new users, they don't see, like if they play the common game only, they don't see the market. They don't see any limited plus competitions. They don't see the scout page. Their only focus is buying packs, setting up lineups for the game week, and getting rewarded and seeing their cards in the gallery. And so they have a very, very simplified version that's like the kind of like a guardrails, like a baby like bunny hill that they can play with. And then once they choose to once they learn the game loop, once they see the value, they can kind of like unlock the pro experience. And that's where we need to do a better job of like hiding more advanced things like classic mode, arena, focus only on in season, and then from there, unlock other things.
There was a question before. Apologies for taking so long to get to it. But this was completely unrelated to hiding. In fact, just the opposite. It's about sharing. Is there any extra functionality coming regarding sharing our lineups across social media? We've had the functionality before, but managers have been screenshotting in the meantime. I do like that question because I had the same thought recently.
No, it's fair. I think there's two things, right? It's like we're changing so much as a company, as a vision of like what the card that like what the environment looks like, and like to have a share feature like that is investing time, and then we have to keep on continually updating it. And for now, like what we saw is that a lot of users were just screenshotting anyway, and the issue is like if we want to invest time in other things, like that's something that we can't afford to like focus on too much, because we want to think of later on with like a social feature what sharing could be. And so for now, we decided to just remove that feature, have people do what they're already doing anyway, and like it forces us to make the game super like really beautiful and simple on the screens. And at the same time, once we have like developed a social mechanic of sharing lineups and stuff, we'll bring that back in. But for now, we decided to like kind of remove that for now, let people do what they've already doing natively with screenshotting, and then and then eventually down the line, once you understand the full complexity of the whole sharing social kind of nature of Sorare, we want to pump that up and bring it back.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think maybe we got used to thinking you guys could just do everything all at once. And obviously, like it's just most places don't work that way. In fact, I don't know any that work that way. And so it's what's really nice is that it's very clear like what your priorities are, whether you guys are telling us or just like what we see from the market, from the platform itself, that we can tell where the resources are being focused, because we're seeing updates coming all the time of like different things that are added. I meant to bring it up earlier, but one of the things that you guys did was being able to see transaction histories, which part of the show today was supposed to be about showing all the things that you guys had done recently, and now we're nearly 2 hours in, and I haven't done really any of them. But one of the things that some people don't know, if you go to like a manager's page here, you can see their lineups for a game week. So if you happen to want to see my lineups, which here they are, you can just do that see pro history. But the other one was, the see transactions history, and then you can see, and you can do this to any user on the platform. Are there any other kind of like recent stuff, things like this that maybe didn't get in to a pitch notes that you can think of?
Maybe like you can on the market you can filter by your watch lists. I'm trying to think what else we have. Like I feel like we did a good job with Momo. Like every time we push a change, we add a ticket for him to include it to the pitch note. But yeah, like as you said before, adding stats to the scouting center. We want to do some things to the common game, like adding filters to scrap missions, burning like scrapping like duplicates, dropping duplicates, and enhance more things for like the lineup building experience. I know some things on our radar that we want to do is like like saving drafts to lineups.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are like little things that we're trying to like add to our like down the pipeline, but like haven't really got there yet, but we need to.
I mean, in fairness, launching Sorare 26 is a pretty big endeavor, so I don't think we're blaming you guys for moving too slowly. It's actually been like pretty exciting to see how quickly you guys are iterating. Just because when it's one of those that like Sorare 26 is a big change for a lot of people, and being able to, it's not like you guys were just like, here are the new rules, go get it. Like you guys have put in a ton of tools that it will make the whole process easier for us. particularly like older users who have been around for a while, that maybe we got stuck in our ways doing certain things. And as you said, kind of like Sorare 25 with the, what did you guys call them? Mirrored competitions, that we just kind of like, everything just kind of became, I mean, it wasn't like monotonous, but like there weren't enough decisions, and we were just kind of like going through the motions. And just the way that like even the new game lobby is set up, like everything is a lot more designed to keep us, interestingly engaged to the whole platform, and allowing us to, like you said, kind of flex where we can.
Yeah, exactly.
What is, what's like next other than the live game center? That's the last question I'm going to ask, because I realize I've taken up like so much of your time. And at least the bonus point is this isn't 2 hours that you have to like watch back after work to see what people are talking about, since you were here.
True. What's next in terms of after the live game center?
Yeah.
I think I said before, like, I think arena would be the next tackle, championship, and like missions. We're going to improve missions, so daily missions. Can we add more variety? Can we, take advantage of, knockout tournaments like Champions League final, like knockout rounds, World Cup? Like, how can we include missions so that you don't have to have 5 lineups, like 5 players? You can just play with one. And so how can we leverage the missions part to be more of a PvE center and have fun, staying engaged that way? And then, I think the big focus is the focus now is like classic, like how can we improve the arena gameplay? How can we, kind of like have people kind of stay more socially, like play like in like smaller lineups and stuff like that. So those are the big ones.
As somebody who has been playing a ton of arena, anything having to do with arena, I'm excited about.
Cool.
I say this as somebody who's not having like a ton of success. Like, it's not like I'm like swimming in essence right now, but I think it addressed what to me was becoming kind of it wasn't a problem, but when you enter a competition with so many people, the confidence that you'll beat everyone is much harder when there are like thousands of lineups, or tens of thousands of lineups, than only a handful. And even during the Club World Cup with like the Coliseum, like 100 people even seems like a significantly more manageable experience, where and you even mentioned it before with arena, you're kind of like checking the leaderboard because it's everything in the leaderboard is within grasp, and you're not going to go through a leaderboard of 33,000 all-star lineups and be like, where can I finish here? But the ability to play arena, or I don't know if you guys have any plans of bringing like Coliseum, bigger, I was going to say bigger small field contests, but just where you get a better idea of who you're really competing against, instead of just like the thousands and thousands of lineups. And I think even from the social perspective that we were talking about earlier, it starts to feel like you're playing against other people when there are just 9 others who are there that you're competing against.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I think, we started out with Sorare to get all the new season stuff, but now it's like focuses on the classic gameplay. How can we make that really fun and engaging? And like you saw in the Club World Cup, also at the end of last season, we did like Arena 5, Arena 10, the Coliseum, Cash Room arenas. And so we're getting a lot of data, getting a lot of feedback back. And we have like a good point of view now of like what we want to do. And it's now about execution. And so we just needed that time to like learn before jumping into something. And so the reason where do a lot of tests in there is because it's really easy for us to just change the parameters and see where the managers are joining and where they're enjoying the experience. And from us also, like empirically playing it ourselves, we can kind of feel how you guys are feeling, and we can kind of now say with our gut like what we like. And now I think that's the next focus, and I hope the next couple of iterations will be things that you guys really enjoy.
Well, I think it's started off with a bang, and I think the excitement that I've seen about Sorare now is excitement I haven't seen in a while, and that's it's great. It's great to see. And literally the last question, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to touch on today? I feel like I warned you beforehand. I was like, please don't think you have to stay the entire time. I know that you have other plenty of things to work on, but I honestly really, really appreciate all the time you've spent on the stream, and I'm sure everybody watching feels the same way. And so, yeah, is there anything that we didn't get to?
No, just more like thank you and for having me, for hosting me, for doing all the work you do on the podcast. Also support Andrew, patreon.com/Andrew M. Laird. Like, support your boy. He does a lot of great content on Sorare. And I love consuming your content. So you do a great job. And also just to say to all the managers, thank you for coming back, playing with us this year, choosing to play with us. Your time is really valuable. You have so many different choices and what you choose, and for choosing us to spend your time playing our game. Like, thank you so much. It means a lot. And we're going to do our best to make it the best experience possible. We're super passionate, motivated, and we're really, really bullish on the new year, the new season.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, thank you everybody for coming. If you could please make sure you subscribe to the channel, because there's Sorare Spotlight going to be every week on Mondays at this time. And yeah, Sorare with Laird is my channel as well. If you want to go over there and see just more Sorare content, that's where you're going to get it. So thank you everybody for coming. Tulga, good to talk to you. And for everyone out there, please make sure you get outside.